Okay, Charlton Athletic, Cray Valley Paper Mills. I think this is the result of the round that we weren't expecting. When names are pulled out of the hat. Um, when the qualifying rounds ended, I don't think Charlton Athletic fans were expecting a 1-1 draw against the non-league side from down the road. That's 5 leagues below them and 117 places at the start of play. Don't think they were expecting a 1-1 draw. But it doesn't help when the manager makes 11 changes. So a whole brand new starting lineup from the game against Wigan. That's had an impact. The goalkeeper, Walker, it's his first game for the club. He's only been signed as injury cover because one of their other goalkeepers is injured on a long-term injury. So, that's a lot of changes to make. If Appleton made 6, 7, 8 changes, I think that would have been an acceptable squad rotation for a cup game, not a full starting lineup. It has proven to be one of the contributing factors, I think, in the Charlton performance. But they start the first half so positively, and they're 1-0 up after only 9 minutes when Scott Fraser scores a well-worked goal as well. His run's well-timed. Tedic, knows that his teammate's making a run in behind. It's a great step over leave. I mean, he could have taken possession himself, turned, and then carried on the phase of play. But the way he knows his teammate is making the running behind and he leaves the ball, it's a very well taken goal. It's a very well worked goal because these are players wanting to put in a performance for the manager, saying you've got to select me for the next game. I'm sick and tired of being on the bench or already in the squad. I want to start. They put down a marker early on, and then they don't kick on. While they have a lot of possession in that first half, you could definitely see, because of the amount of changes, those combinations weren't quite there. The final pass wasn't quite sticking. Communication and those combinations weren't quite, working. But they had a lot of possession over at some point 60 to 70% possession, depending on each 5-minute period snapshot we're looking at. Now, Cray Valley had their little periods of getting a bit of ball and getting a bit of possession, but there was a period in the middle of the first half where they just were absorbing waves of pressure and then clearing it. The issue is Charlton were overplaying because of that lack of game time with these players together as a starting lineup. And it's only 1-0 at half time. Now, when the draw's made, you're thinking Charlton are going to put 4, 5, maybe 6 past Cray Valley. They might create a lot of chances, but they're scrappy finishes, they're rushed finishes. And as the game wears on, especially the second half, you could definitely see the desperation, but that lack of coordination between players, that lack of game time with players. They may train together, but a lot of these players haven't been in the same starting lineup together, if that makes sense, because 11 wholesale changes is going to impact the chemistry of a team and how a team plays. Fitness was not an issue. Individual talent is not an issue. There's some very talented players at Charlton for the level they're playing at. There's some players who have played at a high level in the Championship or Premier League or one of the top European leagues, for example. So there's not a lack of talent or skill or ability, but it's that building combinations with teammates, those little passing triangles and defensive units that you get with game time together. Because training is one thing, but playing a competitive match is completely different. And that's, I think, where the own goal comes from. They sloppy playing out from the back. They've had a slow, sloppy start to the second half. Cray Valley have come out and realised this side are vulnerable. This side have disrespected us with the lineup they've chosen, with the amount of changes. This side is vulnerable. They're taking us lightly. They haven't put us to bed. They come out like a freight train. They're overplaying from the back. They lose the ball. Ibrahim pinches the ball off one of the defenders trying to play out from the back, makes a quick pass to Lisby. Lisby crosses the ball in. Ness, the Charlton defender, he has to make an attempt at a block there. He has to at least try and stop the ball getting into the dangerous area. It just so happens that his positioning, he slide tackles it into his own net, past the goalkeeper, who's only been with the club for a short time, and it's his first game because he was signed as an emergency injury cover. So already you've got 11 wholesale changes, brand new goalkeeper. I wouldn't say a makeshift back defensive line, but not your starting centre backs, right back and left back. So you're playing players that haven't had a lot of game time. And again, defensive combinations, defensive pairings You work with that not only in training, but also by playing games together. You build that relationship. You build that communication with the man on your outside and the man on your inside. And that goal is conceded by their overplaying. They're trying to play out when sometimes route one will do, just clear your lines rather than trying to attack every phase. You don't have to do that all the time. This is what frustrates me about a lot of these teams that think they've got to play out from the back every single time they get the ball. Got to play out from the back. Sometimes just put your foot through it, clear it, force them to start playing out from the back, which they may not be able to do, and put pressure on them by clearing lines, getting up the field quick. And they turn the ball over. It's an own goal, and you can see Charlton are starting to wobble. Passes are now not going to feet. They're not winning the 50-50 challenges. And as the second half wears on, it was very difficult to tell that Cray Valley were a non-league side. Their energy levels have lifted. They're challenging for everything. They're unsettling the Charlton side. And then Michael Appleton does obviously bring the changes, which does have an impact because Charlton starts to reassert some control on the possession and the tempo of the game. But they're starting to play too little too late. It's very, very hard to change a mindset when you've got into a game, with a certain mindset and you've only got a narrow lead. To lose that lead, to suddenly change the energy levels and the mindset and the approach to the game, it's very difficult to do that. Only a handful of players in any squad can really make a massive difference by raising energy levels or really changing the chemistry of a team. So he throws his subs on, and they are creating chances, but they're rushed. This is off the cuff. This is not structured build-up play that their pass and movement play. They are starting to just throw the kitchen sink at it, and they're still giving opportunities to Cray Valley. And that is a problem. Is Charlton have had all season is they can't defend very well. They concede a lot of goals. They blow leads. Now they can score. They proved tonight they can score some very good goals. With the goal they scored, but defensively they cough up leads, and they're in control of games like they were at half time, 1-0. They can build upon that. They lose control of the game, and then they're having to fight to reassert control when they could have had 2 or 3 goals up. That is a Charlton problem, and it's cost them again with sloppy play from the back. And then there was a few moments in the second half where you're thinking if Cray Valley get a second goal, Charlton, I don't think, with the mindset they had and the way they applied themselves to the game, are going to get back into it. Charlton had to score a second goal and they didn't. And I think they were lucky that it's finished 1-1. They were creating a lot of chances towards the end, but occasionally they were still giving opportunities to the opposition. And Cray Valley, as I say, it was very difficult to tell they were a non-league side. They really kept up their energy levels. So their fitness is, I think, better than people realise. I think better than they possibly realise. They kept up the intensity. They kept putting pressure on the player in possession. They kept unsettling the player in possession, making him rush the final pass or that next phase. Players off the ball were finding themselves suddenly in not as much space as they realised. The work rate of the non-league side compared to the work rate of the league side, you could not tell the difference of who was the non-league and the league side in this game. It goes to replay. There's actually going to be a few replays later on this month. There's been a fair few draws already in the first round. So there's going to be several replays. I mean, they're going to be a thing of the past soon, so make the most of them while you can. But yeah, Charlton, I think, a disjointed performance. I think Appleton is going to take a lot of criticism on social media and in the local media, maybe even the national media, because of the changes made and the way that performance, as the game went on, it was all over the place. They lost control of the game, and they lost their intensity and lost their focus at times. So, yeah, Charlton fans, I think, will be relieved that they haven't lost, but I think they're going to be very angry and frustrated with the manner of the performance. The Cray Valley club, they had a fantastic performance. 2,000 fans went 2.5 miles up the road, so That helps having a good travelling support when normally their average gates are between 100 and 300 people turn up on an average. This season I think it's about around 150 to 200, so they're not drawing many fans normally, but they put in a creditable performance. Really, they threw everything at it, and they were out on their feet by the end, but deservedly out on their feet because they put in a solid effort and worked for each other. So there we go. Charlton Athletic avoided a potential, giant killing, but they've got to go and play a replay against the same opposition in about 14 days' time, week and a half's time, and that is not going to be easy. I don't think Appleton is going to make the same mistakes as manager by making as many changes, but he's going to be under a lot of pressure to get it right. Because if they get it wrong again with their application and their intensity levels, they could lose this replay. And then more pressure is heaped upon Appleton, considering he's only been in the role for a few months. He wasn't the manager to start the season. So there's going to be some, and not all the fans have warmed to him either. There was some disquiet amongst the fan base when he was appointed earlier this season, and I think, yeah, the Charlton fans, I think, will not be happy with their team's performance. I think is an understatement. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below. Obviously, we've had a few interesting scorelines. I mean, a 7-4 Aldershot victory over Swindon, for example, I think is the real, eyebrows raiser of the weekend. But this result, I think, is possibly the biggest result of the weekend for the non-league side, challenging the league side, and nearly a cup upset, but they go to replay. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll have some more content for you very, very soon.